So this is the commentated version of my Carbuncle Classic Story Mode IO, which is geared towards the runners who play, I believe it's specifically easy and normal any percent. So this IL is pretty strict in terms of what parts I can use. So I use the same parts that the current runners use, which is the Shinra Avian Helmet, the Tropical Shawl, and the Tropical Anklets. The shawl and the anklets are forced story progression, whereas the avian helmet is like the best item you can buy since you have an extra plume to do it, I believe. So I'm just going to start off. So once the timer hits 2, you're able to perform a boost. It's probably one of the most lenient boost starts in like any video game. All this does is get you to max speed. You just accelerate the moment 2 appears on the screen. It's super lenient. One common trend you'll know in racing games is like a racing line. So I'm always, you're always going to want to look at like the apex of a corner and try to stay towards the inside of the track. Going in the grass will slow you down. There is one special time that doesn't occur, and I'll show that later on. But in this game, we have drifting. So by drifting and like leaning towards the right, you initiate an inside drift or right side drift, whatever makes sense with the corner. So during this state, you're gradually tailing towards the right. But because you can counteract the movement to the right, you'll keep effectively incrementing the counter anytime you go towards the direction you're boosting. So in this case, I'm drifting inside. So any frame that I'm holding right in, I'm incrementing a timer, which will get to this phase, which is the first set of boost, and this phase, which is the stronger boost. So by like tapping the opposite direction while I'm also on the inside the corner, I keep a tight racing line and I continuously build my boost, but only when I'm holding the direction I'm drifting in. So in most cases, once you have the full boost you want to release, when you release is kind of dependent on like maximizing your speed game. So it's only really relevant on like usually whenever you have like speed burst coming into play or having a dash in. But at the start here, as long as you just release it with a good racing line, you're good. This particular route for the classic IL prioritizes getting 10 speed on lap 1, even at the cost of like not having full speed burst, and that's kind of important due to a later section, which I'll get there. These little bumps here, I just jump off to the left a little bit just to like reduce airtime. I'm personally not sure if airtime while at full ground speed like affects you, but it's also just a good racing line anyways. So you collect these two, we'll call them berries or whatever, just because they're in your way. You initiate just normal boost here and try to release this one as early as possible because we're actually going to try and get these two, like two of these speed berries, plus hitting like that top little tip there for the ground boost or dash plate. And then this is probably the trickiest part of this run. So the weight stat influences like how it's in its name. So heavier weight means you'll actually drop faster while gliding. And in this particular launch right here, you can see there's like a plus shape of we'll say dashes. You can actually get 2 dashes, the center and the bottom one, if you like align it really well. I don't really know a good setup, but the way I performed in this run let me do it on laps 1 and 3. So as you can see here, I got both. You want to expend these, like if you get the 2 from this jump, expend them both immediately And when I get to lap 2, I'll show you what happens as a backup strat if you just don't happen to do it. But from here, I'm just going to boost, and I'm going to prioritize speed. So one thing about this game that I've noticed is that you can't compound speed. So if you're boosting or you're in your ability state, you can't combine like a drifted boost with speed burst. Like your speed just caps at this point. So anytime you're just dashing, unless the corner is extremely sharp, you really just want to just take the corner well. Like it's just a better racing line anyways, and it's like a lot simpler. So at this point you'll notice I have like I'm very close to getting full speed burst. I'm at this point with the route that I used on the opener. This is going to fulfill itself before I get to the optimal boost point anyways. So I'm actually going to prioritize my speed at this point. And it'll become apparent in a second. So at this point, I'm at full burst. But I'm not going to use it yet. I'm going to use it right here. The reason for the delay is because this special ability of Pico has a special like hidden ability, which is after like 1 second or so, you are immune to the slowdown of the grass. And by doing it at this point, this is also like a timing mechanism. Like I'm always drifting at this point. So it's just a really fast right, and then I'm holding left and drift button. This takes a very sharp corner right here. These don't do anything. And then right here, I'm lining up with that little speed berry. And this is a visual cue so I can take this next corner extremely tight. So the moment I touch that, I'm already initiating left and drift at the same time. And by doing that exact start for my speed burst activation, I will run out of this before I touch one of these berries up here. And the reason that's important is because it lets me take better racing lines on laps 2 and 3, which I'll show you in a second. So now I'm out of boost state, and I gain speed burst. Plus, I got 7 out of 10, 1 dash. You're going to collect 3 of these berries here for 10, and then that's lap 1. So lap 2, nothing is really different. You just drift, boost. The only difference now is that the moment I grab this, I'm at full boost state. So the moment I land, I'm initiating this boost. Or in midair. But the reason is because right there, how like your character did that little glisten. This means that I can run off-road with 0 speed penalty. And then you just take a nice optimal line. You bypass everything at this point. The only collectibles worth it now are the red berries. Even this boost plate is suboptimal to go for. Like the better racing line is just going up there because the speed doesn't compound. And then here, I actually miss getting both dashes. So this would be your backup on any lap where you don't get 2 dashes here. Your backup is just dash and then drift right here until you get a red boost. Whereas if it was on lap 1, you would be getting the blue, speed berry and then drifting inwards. And then you just get a nice boost, and then you just ignore everything except these reds. You just take a nice straight line, and then you're into the exact same boost placement as lap 1. You initiate it right here, just so that you run out by the time you get to the end. So nothing's different here. I'm still lining up with that berry right there. And once again, I'm running out of boost before I hit this. You save a lot of time by not running out of boost when you're over grass. Like that's this most significant time save that I found on this IO compared to what the other runs have done. So even that little small delay is like huge when it comes to just the potential you save. And obviously I'm just dashing here anyways because I'm trying to get 2 boosts anyways, and it doesn't even lose that much time. It's just the optimal route. So this lap will pretty much go the same. Dash right here, and you can go over the dirt. And then this, I believe in this instance, I actually get both again. So I can just do the optimal like dash strat. You collect your health boost. I mean, this is where lap 3 differs between the rest. So I have to purposely delay it here because I actually want the speed benefit from the final red, because now at this point I just want to get across the finish line as fast as possible. So I delay until roughly right here. So pretty much like halfway through this corner, like pretty much at the apex of the corner, I'm boosting. This is like the latest you can do it, and if you do it, you'll pretty much barely get into this grass with your like slight invincibility state. Nothing here changes, but what you have to do here now is that you must collect one of these, because at this point you still have energy and you're about to cross the finish line. So now you're just going into the finish line straight. So you let your stuff run out, and then you boost whenever you run out. And then that is how you do this in 2:17:87. Those are the lap times for reference. One thing I will like mention slightly with the lap times is that anytime you have boosts leak over into a lap, or like you're always regenerating some kind of like special ability energy. So for the most part, these should be pretty replicable, at least under story mode settings. So that's honestly that's my first tutorial I've ever done, and I didn't think I'd do it for a Final Fantasy game, but Chocobo Racing is a surprisingly deep like addition to the series. So hopefully this helps you guys get like consistent sub 220s, or maybe even like consistent 218s. It's only a tiny bit of time save, but once you put the run together, it's actually pretty simple. So thanks, and I forgot if I mentioned my name, but I'm Z-Wing. I don't run Final Fantasy games. I just like racing games, and I'm doing this for Greg Holland. He goes by the Sid underscore. So hopefully this helps him more than you guys. Just kidding. He's a good guy. Thanks.